No, I don't think there's enough female representation in film or the TV industry or entertainment industry in general.
I think there could be more women in films.
My instinct tells me that there are not as many women in film as there are men.
When I start to think of my favorite directors, not a lot of women come to mind. And I don't think it's that women are not talented, they're just maybe not given the same opportunities as men, or just aren't given the same respect that they really deserve.
I think in some instances it's a little biased or unfair.
45%?
40%?
I think 40% of speaking roles in movies go to women.
That's messed up.
I absolutely think there's gender inequality in the film industry. I mean, the top 50, those are the top 50 best directors are all male, mostly heterosexual white males. But that really shocked me the first time I saw that. I expected at least one to be on the top 50, and then I did a little bit of research and looked up best female directors, and there were like lists of like 10 or 15, and they couldn't even get as many as 50.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting how when you're on IMDb and you're reading a summary for a movie and there's a male lead, it just says, you know, a young man, fresh out of college, you know, goes to get a job, or like a man, a boss at a company, blah, 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 and it just goes right into it. Whereas when a woman is a lead, it starts off something like Carrie, a strong, ambitious young girl, or like Carrie, a vivacious, spunky, like strong. It's just they always have to validate that this woman character is strong, and that's how she should be seen. Whereas, like with the men, they don't say anything because it's kind of just assumed that this man is going to be powerful and strong. Or when you see him, you automatically associate men with power. But with women, there's no correlation between women and power, and they have to establish this correlation before you even see the movie.
I guess in terms of gender roles, men are inherently stronger, so it doesn't need to be said out loud. And women that are strong or authoritative are the others and not like the norm. So I think that's why there's a distinction like in that sense. But I agree that I think it's unjust.
They're always portrayed the same way. Like they're very rarely in lead roles where they're like super women, you know, they're doing everything on their own. They're very much either sex symbols, they're inferior to the male lead because they're just there for like a kiss at the end, or, you know, they don't really have any subplot of their own.
I think an issue that a lot of women face is being pressured to have nude scenes or stripped down scenes or whatever you'd call it. Definitely more so than men. I mean, I've never heard about an actor turning down a film because he had to do a nude scene or anything like that. But for women, it's like if you don't strip, you don't get paid, which is ridiculous because I sound like I'm talking about a prostitute.
You know, I don't watch a lot of movies, but I think just naturally you have like a whole genre like dedicated to men when it comes to like action flicks and stuff like that, and that immediately pops into my head when I think of like female representation, because in movies like that there's just not, and when there is, they're like the second tier sex symbol, like the girl they make out with at the end of the movie.
I personally have had an issue with like the Wolf of Wall Street trailers and the even in the trailer, like just the representation of women and like that image of the girl with the money bound down her with saran wrap, like just completely threw me off from the movie. I feel like the representation of women in that movie is the largest reason why I haven't seen it and probably won't see it in theaters.
Like, women are so much more than their bodies and their looks. I don't think they're represented enough for their minds and their intelligence and their skill sets.
I have no idea what the Bechdel test is.
Basically what it does, it wanted to see how women were represented in movies and how often they were accurately represented, if they were. And so there were 3 steps to this test. The first one was, are the 2 women with names? Do we know them? Do we understand them? Do they have names? Are they characters? The second part of the test is, do these women talk to each other? Are they in the same scenes together? And then the third test is, when they are talking to each other, are they talking about something else besides men? And while that seems fairly easy, it's unbelievable how many movies don't pass this test.
It's weird to me that a lot of movies that don't pass, well, not a lot of them, but a lot of movies about women with central female characters don't pass the test.
I'm trying to think of some movies off the top of my head that do, and I have like Bridesmaids,
The Hunger Games?
maybe The Parent Trap. Like, I don't know. It's crazy how many movies don't pass this test. George Lucas,
Spike Lee,
Stanley Kubrick,
Steven Spielberg,
David O. Russell,
Quentin Tarantino,
David Fincher,
James Cameron,
Alfred Hitchcock,
Paul Feig,
Tim Burton,
Christopher Nolan,
Alfonso Cuarón,
Martin Scorsese,
Spike Jonze,
Peter Jackson,
Ben Affleck. It's a little bit harder.
Catherine Bigelow,
Catherine Bigelow,
Catherine Bigelow,
Sofia Coppola,